I used to spend hours pouring myself over customer research trying to decode what our audience actually wanted until I realized that their actions were telling a completely different story. So if you're tired of campaigns that fall flat, even when the customer feedback sounds positive, this is for you. Because once I learned how to read what people do, not just what they say, our results changed fast. Today, I'll show you how to spot the emotional and contextual signals that your audience is already giving you and how to turn them into decisions that perform. I've used this exact method to help customers cut wasted spend, build stronger positioning, and finally speak their customers' language. If I trusted everything at face value, I'd be out of about $120K and my client would be in therapy. We were doing some research, a survey, to try and understand how customers were going to respond to an upcoming regulation change that would move one ingredient from a product. And the survey came back with over 30% of them saying that they would quit the product altogether. And this was a multi-billion-dollar category. So big deal if 30% of that market disappeared overnight. But I said, let's take a pause and look and see how customers have responded to similar situations in the past. And only 5% of them had quit the product. So that was where I thought, okay, we are introducing a new regulation to customers who probably haven't heard that this regulation is coming. So they're probably going through some initial shock, and their survey responses are building on that emotionally charged topic. So they are likely overestimating what they will do. And so when we took that information and actually put it into our action plans, how we were going to roll out a new campaign, we went with the 5% number more so than the 30% number, because what people do is much more reliable when we're looking at past behavior than what they say. And it's not that the customers lied, it's just that they had a different context in mind that probably made them overestimate what they would do in response to regulation changes. Everyone tells you to fix your marketing funnel, but nobody shows you where to begin. Like, what should you be watching for? So I like to think of the marketing funnel as an inverted triangle. So when people first become aware of your brand, they start in that awareness phase where they're most likely engaging on search or social, and then they move to consideration. So if they like what you have to say, then they'll try you out, or they will compare you to other competitors and see which one is a better fit for them. So that is the consideration phase, and they're usually engaging with your website or a trial of some kind. Then they move into the buying phase. And so what are the key behaviors to look for in each of these is the question that we're going to answer. So in the awareness phase, the key behaviors I'm looking for is social engagement. Notice I did not say views. I did not say impressions. Anybody can be impressed and entertained for 3 seconds. It doesn't mean they're going to give you anything. They're not going to buy. So when I'm looking at key behaviors that signal possible purchase intent, I'm starting at the engagement phase. Then we look into search volume. A really good tool for that is free is Google Trends. I love Google Trends. So then you can see how search behavior is increasing or decreasing over time. If it's increasing, that's a good indication that people are more interested and possibly ready to buy. Then in your next phase, the consideration phase, I'm looking for behaviors such as clicks from search or social to the website. So click-through rates. I'm also looking at minutes spent on the website, whether you have a video or blogs. And then I'm also looking at clicks to your trial offer. So then in the third phase, when people are ready to buy, the key behaviors, of course, are sales, but then also lifetime value. So lifetime value is a way of saying how much money is each customer spending with you over the entire time that they're with you. So if you have a subscription that you're offering and 90% of your customers that buy only stay with you in the first month, then you have a low lifetime value and it's something you want to address. So those are the key behaviors to look at when you are seeking to fix your funnel. Now, here's the part that many people don't tell you is there's also not just key behaviors, but key emotions that are happening at each of these phases that if you do it the right way can help people along that journey much, much faster. And this is what I focus on with my clients is how do we show up and tap into those emotional drivers that get them through that funnel faster. So at the awareness phase, people in the positive state of mind will be curious. People in the negative phase or the kind of emotion that we want to stay away from is skeptical. If I'm not spelling these right, correct me in the comments. So in the consideration phase, the emotion that we're trying to bring about is excited. The emotion that we're trying to stay away from is overwhelmed. And then also in the consideration phase, we are trying to make them motivated to take action. So motivation is also a key emotion that you want to be speaking to when your customers are in that consideration phase. And then in the purchase phase, we don't just say, thank you for buying from us. We're not going to attend to your emotional needs anymore. No. The emotion that we want to have our customers feel when they've bought from us is accomplished. The emotion that we're trying to stay away from when they've bought from us is buyer remorse. Okay, remorse. I'm a numbers gal, not a spelling gal. So tapping into the right emotions at the right time in that journey can actually speed things along from people becoming first aware of your brand to becoming happy paying customers of your brand with high lifetime value. And one of my clients who used this approach, leaning into the emotional intelligence, leaning into the buyer psychology of this, was able to see a 30% increase in how quickly people got from aware to purchasers. And so that translated to about 50% more sales for their business. So this stuff is really powerful and it works. That last point about emotional triggers behind fast decisions is exactly why you can't afford to guess anymore. If you're still pouring budget into channels and messages based on what people say they want, you are wasting real money. That's why I created the CMO Budget Rescue Checklist. It'll show you where your marketing spend is being wasted and how to realign your strategy with what your audience actually acts on. So it's linked at the top of the description. Go ahead and grab it. It took me 20 years to learn this, but I'm going to teach you how to get customers from lurkers to buyers in just a few minutes. So we are going to connect the behaviors, the emotions, all the way to their marketing strategies and teach you how to turn signals into meaningful strategies for growth. So again, back to our inverted triangle. So starting at the awareness phase, when they are searching and they're on social media, they are wanting to know more about you, find out some more information. So in order to help them know more about you, you are going to show up consistently, and that builds familiarity. Example I want to point you to is, if you recall, anytime there's an election, you'll see these signs that just have people's names. They're not telling you what their political stance is. They're not telling you what their political platforms are. It's just the name. And research has shown that just by seeing that name over and over and over and over again, that they have a higher chance of winning at the polls. Without customers doing any more research, in this case, without voters doing any more research into who the candidates are or what they stand for, just showing up consistently over and over and over again is enough to get people to associate that name. Oh, that's something familiar. I'm going to go ahead and vote for them. This is psychology. Don't shoot the messenger. So how you're going to use it in your marketing is you're going to show up consistently. And so in your tone of voice, in your messaging, in your brand colors, you are going to show up consistently in search and social to build that familiarity and help people to get to know you. In the consideration phase, your customers want to feel excited and they are looking on your website, maybe clicking through your trial. And in order to help them feel excited, you are going to build like and trust with them. And the way to do that is to speak the customer's language. Customer's language. The psychology behind that is we tend to like and trust the people who are most like us. Again, I didn't make the rules, it's psychology. So we like and trust the people who remind us of ourselves. Or another way you can do this is by showing reviews and social proof. So by showing that you are well liked by other people, it signals to any new customers or new prospects that they should like you too. By speaking the customer's language, showing reviews or social proof, that is how you get them in the excited phase when they are considering your brand versus the competition. An example of that in politics, and like her or don't like her, like what she stood for or what she doesn't stand for, Hillary Clinton did a terrible job actually of connecting her stance and her views to her audience's language. She was not very good at speaking their language in a way that they could understand. And so there was a lot of memes that came out where people were just like, I just don't connect with her. I don't understand her, and therefore I don't trust her. And so that really hurt her in her political aspirations that she wasn't able to speak their language. So really important from a marketing standpoint, whether you're a political candidate or not, to speak your customer's language. Then we're going to move into the buying phase. Now, the fastest way to get people motivated to buy, get out of the consideration and to spend money is to speak to urgency. And that looks like limited time offers. It looks like we only have a number of offers to sell, or it's only for a short amount of period. So anything that you can do to create a sense of scarcity or urgency to buy. And the reason that that works from a psychology standpoint is people actually put more value on losing something than they do on gaining something. Again, I am just the messenger, but it works. It is one of the most powerful ways to get people from lurkers to buyers is to speak to what they are losing today if they don't act. And so an example of that from the political realm is something called the Daisy ad, where it was a campaign that was aired in 1964 when Lyndon B. Johnson was running for re-election. And the ad successfully showed that a vote for the opponent could possibly lead to a global catastrophe or a war. And as a result of this ad and those kind of tactics to create a sense of urgency, Johnson won 90% of the vote. Okay, 90% of the vote by speaking to what voters would be losing if they didn't act immediately. So you can also use this in marketing. Now, let me say, these tactics are extremely powerful, and with the rise of authenticity and especially Gen Z wanting to buy from brands that are honest and ethical, you cannot just use these to fill your bottom dollar. You cannot just use these to benefit yourself and no one else. Okay, that's not why I'm sharing this with you. You need to use it with ethics. You need to use it with a moral compass to really help people and help the community. All right. But they're really powerful tools. If people are ghosting your offer, it's because your offer is solving the wrong problem. And they've already told you what their real problem is with their behavior. Here's what I mean. You want to adjust your messaging, adjust your offer based off of your customers' behaviors. So that looks like leading with the primary outcome in the first 10 words, the first 10 words of your social post, the first 10 words of your website are going to speak to the problem that you solve and the emotional benefit that your solution provides. Both of those things need to be in the first 10 words. You want to remove any side benefits that distract from the most urgent problem that you solve, and use your customer's exact language, not something that you thought up, not something that your founder found on TikTok and thought would be cutesy way of explaining. No, use your customer's exact language to build that know, like, and trust faster and get them from lurkers to buyers much faster as well. Then you want to use your insights, those click-through rates, the sales, the lifetime value, to refine your offers and your customer experience. So that looks like solving the problem with the highest sense of urgency. You know, your problems that your customers face are not one and done. They're going to evolve. They're going to have situations that impact them, and the most urgent problem is going to change, and your business needs to change with them. So make sure as you go along, you are using your customers' behavior to identify what is the problem that they need solved right away. And you want to create an offer that helps them solve the most painful problem with the lowest amount of risk. The lowest amount of risk being low time, low money, low effort, as much as possible. And then anytime you are designing your customer experience, you want to make sure that that path from lurker to buyer or awareness to purchase is as seamless as it can be, and make sure that the next step is painfully obvious, that there's no room for misinterpretation or confusion or overwhelm in that buyer journey. Okay. Once you start translating behavior into strategy, everything sharpens: your positioning, your message, your results. But here's the thing: if you're trying to connect with Gen Z, behavior alone isn't enough. Their values, their beliefs, and sense of identity drive what brands they trust and what they buy. I break that down in this next video and show how Gen Z buys with their values, not just their wallets. You can watch it right here.